Hello, good evening. Good evening, this is Yuste with you. Who watching me first time?
Hello, good evening.
Okay. Good evening, this is Yuste with you. One second, I just...
Hello,
Yeah, I just need to check technical issues. Give me a second. Okay, all works. How are you doing? How is almost summer starting with you? I ask you also a question. Do you plan your holidays before? Do you or you just last minute person? Check my post, let us know because it's very interesting. And yeah, okay, so let's begin our live webinar today. So I'm Yuste Gironita. I'm mindset and holistic coach for women to help them to grow self-confidence. Also a beauty expert, so I can help you to brand your brand. We having a lot of different webinars here to help each other to grow our personal life and our professional life as well. And today I will not be alone. Today I will have another blondie, and today we'll have Nicki. When I heard her story, it's really I was like, oh my God, yeah, it's so beautiful. Why I asked about holidays, because Nicki actually organizing tours in Japan. So I was so curious about that as well. But more than that, of course, listen this live, listen this webinar, watch it. And because I think that every story can inspire it. And even can help you in somehow, some way. Maybe you will find something that you was looking for, and this is the day and opportunity to have it. So, but let me accept Nicki, and she will tell about herself. Okay. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hello, Nicki. How are you doing?
Good. And you?
Amazing. Thank you.
Yes.
Me too. Thank you to joining me here, and I'm so happy to have you here. And I'm very curious to hear your story.
Yes.
And to know more about you. And so I was presenting you, but actually I think that the best way to hear the real truth is to ask you to present yourself. And I'm so curious to know how the girl from Netherlands doing tours in Japan as well.
Yeah. Well, my name is Nicki Van Ingen Schenau. I'm 46 years old, and currently I live in Amsterdam. I am Dutch, but in 2011 I moved to Tokyo with my then husband, who is Japanese. So basically, he moved to Amsterdam as a baby, and together with his parents, because his dad was sent to Amsterdam to start up tourism from Europe to Japan, because back then, that was in the 70s, the Iron Curtain was still there. So travel to Japan wasn't really a thing, especially not for luxury travelers and leisure travelers. So that's why he moved with his family to Amsterdam, and he basically lived here all his life, always went to Dutch school, always had Dutch friends. And then when we were together for 5 years, he said, how would you feel about living in Amsterdam, in Tokyo for a few years, like 2-3 years maybe, and then we'll have our adventure, and then we'll go back to Amsterdam. So I didn't think about it too seriously, and I said, yeah, sure, see if you can find a job. I mean, if I am unable to find work in Tokyo, I can put my career on hold for 2-3 years. That's fine. And then I'll just move back after about 3 years, and I can pick up where I left off. And I thought, Tokyo, London, New York, Sydney, all these international cities, everyone will speak English, and people will be lined up around the block to hire me. So I thought, yeah, it should be easy to find a job. I mean, my English isn't bad. So I moved to Tokyo, and I was applying for work, and everywhere I went, it was like, oh, so you're fluent in Japanese, right? And I was like, oh, not exactly. So they were like, yeah, we'll call you for sure. We'll keep your information on file. And after sending out like 50 applications, I thought that this isn't working. The Japanese language is definitely an impediment for me to find a job. So I'll just study Japanese for 1 year, 9 to 5, do all the homework. And then after 1 year, I must be fluent by then. So then I should be able to get a job. So then I started studying Japanese full time, and 2 years in, I still wasn't fluent in Japanese. It was still not at the level where I could get a full-time job at a Japanese firm.
Mhm.
So I thought, yeah, this isn't going to work. I need to do something else. So a friend of mine came over, and she's a flight attendant for the Royal Dutch Airline. And she proposed, why don't you start your own company and become a tour guide and give guided tours in Tokyo, because you know so much about Japan and about the culture and about the history, you know, all the best spots, and you have the personality. I think you'd be really great at that. And at first I was really hesitant, like, oh, I've never even started my own business. I know nothing about tourism. I don't have the network. My background is in marketing. How am I supposed to do that? And she said, well, just create a really simple website and email address, and I'll take care of the rest.
Hmm.
So I thought, oh, this is going to be one of those cases where someone offers to help you, like, yeah, I will definitely help. And then you never hear from them again. But just in case, I created the website and the email address, and I really wasn't expecting much. And then after a week, I received my first email from someone and said, like, hi, Nikki, I heard you do guided tours in Tokyo. I would really love to book a tour with you. I'm coming to Japan, and I think it would be very beneficial if you could show me around. And I was literally just blown away, like, oh my God, I was so not expecting this. And yeah, I took things easy. So I started off with my prices really low, because I felt like I was lacking the experience. And I mean, showing family and friends around is different than actually getting paid for it. So I thought, yeah, I'll start off slow with low prices so the client will have low expectations. And then as I am getting more confident and I learn more things about Japan, and I feel I'm better able to do it, then I'll slowly start increasing the prices. And then right away it went off like a storm, and I got so many applications. I was just working nonstop, which was good. But then 3 months in, I received an email from this lady, and she said, I see you offer guided tours. Would you consider hiring me? And I thought, no, I never considered hiring people, but yeah, that sounds great. I mean, you get to work and I get paid. That sounds amazing. I would love that. And so yeah, she was my first hire, and then after a year, I got pregnant with my daughter, and then I gave birth, and as I became more and more pregnant, it just started to get harder and harder to climb up and down the stairs in the subway. And I got the pregnancy brain, so I couldn't remember all the facts, and I had really difficulties doing the tours. So that's when I started hiring more and more people, and I also attracted a couple of travel agents that wanted to sell our products. And they were also like, oh, and do you know someone in Kyoto and maybe Osaka and Naga and here and there? So I started to expand and hire more people on different destinations as well, and look at the products, like what other kind of tours can we offer, like bike tours and food tours and things like that. And that's when things really started developing. And then in 2018, I was supposed to move back to Europe. So I spoke to one of my guides who had been working with me since 2015. And I asked her, would you be interested in buying the company from me? And she said, oh, no, that sounds like a terrible idea. I would not want to do that. But would you consider taking me on as a partner? And I thought again, like, no, I never considered that. But what do you have in mind? And yeah, she's very detailed oriented, and she loves spreadsheets and numbers and doing research. So she does all the admin stuff and all the invoicing and all the planning and all the, she looks at the email box. So she does all the things that I don't like and that I'm not particularly very good at. And I can just focus more on the creative part and do consultancy and track new business, so sales, PR, that kind of thing. So we are like a match made in heaven. I'm like, why can't you just be a man? Then I could also have you in my life romantically. But unfortunately, that is her only downside, that she's a woman. But I guess maybe that's also why we work so well together. We're almost like sisters. So she's like a sister from another mother. So yeah, things have been great. And then 2020 came along, which was supposed to be the best year ever because of the Olympics in Tokyo. And then yeah, things just took a nosedive from there, and the border closed, and it was just raining with cancellations. And my business partner, she got a nervous breakdown and just couldn't handle it, all the negativity and the bad news every day, and all the clients asking for their money back. So I told her, why don't you just step out of the business altogether for now, and I'll handle everything. And if there's something that I feel that you should know about, then I'll discuss it with you. I want you to focus on your own mental health and getting better. And I don't want you to be so affected by this. Yeah, come here. I can hear you. My cat Nico needs to always be the center of attention. Say okay. Yeah, so that was a really rough year. And at that time I was already 9 years in Japan, from 2011 until 2020. And I felt like maybe my time in Japan had also come to an end. My marriage wasn't going particularly well. So I thought, well, maybe this is a good time for me to move back to Amsterdam, because I didn't know how long COVID was going to last. So my first instinct was to invest in the business, to redesign the website, and focus more on social media, get more followers on Facebook and Instagram, and also become more active on LinkedIn. And expand my network. And then 2021, I decided to move back to Amsterdam. My partner was staying behind in Tokyo, so I could easily manage the business from there, provided that COVID would finally stop and things would start moving again. So yeah, at first I had some other jobs here in Amsterdam because I couldn't financially support myself with Tokyo Tours, obviously. And then fortunately last October 2022, the border with Japan opened up again, and I mean, it has been so amazing. I thought, well, it's probably going to take some time before we get back to full strength. And of course, I kept my ear to the ground whenever there was news or rumors that the country was going to open up again. I immediately started hiring new people and started training them and getting them ready for when the border was opening up. And then the moment was finally there, and we were back at full strength, and the applications came pouring in, and yeah, it's been an amazing year so far. We have far exceeded our expectations, and are doing much better compared to 2019 and 2020. So yeah, I'm super happy, and I can just focus on Tokyo Tours right now. I don't need to do any additional stuff for other businesses, and I can just focus on mine, which has been such a blessing because yeah, it can sometimes be a bit daunting when you have your own business and you have, after you finish your day job, you're still working a couple of hours a day trying to keep your own business afloat. So it's good that I can finally take a step back and just focus on what I'm good at and what brings me joy.
Yeah, what a story! Amazing.
Yeah.
But while I was listening you, I'm very curious about to know also about your Japan language, like
Oh.
how it went, how was it? As you
Mm.
said, like after 1 year, it still was difficult to speak. So because it's completely different language, and I think you need to change also a little bit even mentality and also different cultures to completely not like Europe. So how was then when you needed to accept it and to build a business also in their country?
Yeah, well, that was really challenging, but because you have the culture shock when you first come to Japan. Everything is different. All the food that you can buy in the grocery store is different. Even the vegetables, you're like, what's this? Is this edible? How am I supposed to prepare it? And of course, you cannot read any of the packaging. So that is super daunting when you first arrived. And then my husband would be like, oh, can you maybe pick up some rice? And there's this like whole aisle on both sides with only rice and like 85 different kinds of rice. And I would be there and like, it seems like they're both rice. So this one is cheaper. Let me get this one. And then I would get home and be like, oh my God, what did you just buy? That is completely the wrong type of rice. I'm like, it's rice, isn't it? He's like, yeah, but it's mochi rice. That's not for everyday use. I'm like, okay, well, next time you buy it. So yeah, even the most simple things were challenging. And in the Netherlands, your whole identity is wrapped up around your career. So if I would go to a party or go to the embassy, or any kind of Dutch event that the Dutch society would arrange, then immediately people would ask me, so what do you do? And then if you would say, oh, I'm a housewife, or oh, I'm studying Japanese, or oh, I'm taking a year off, then you could see them looking over your shoulder and they'd be like, oh yeah, I see someone over there, it was really nice meeting you, and I'll circle back later and we'll talk a bit more. So immediately you felt like, oh, apparently I no longer matter and I'm no longer interesting and people don't want to get to know me because I am not a contributing member to society, so to speak. And also money wise, Dutch women are very self-reliant and independent. So from an early age, your parents tell you like, oh, you need to get a good job. You need to be able to take care of yourself financially. You should be independent and not rely on a man to take care of you. And you need to take care of yourself. And then suddenly you're in Japan, you don't have a job, you don't have an income, you don't have your own bank account. So even if you want to do groceries, you have to be like, oh, can you please give me some money because I need to go to the supermarket and get some groceries. So that is so embarrassing and weird to have to ask someone else, yeah, can you give me money? And you kind of feel guilty, like, I know it's for both of us and I know it's just for so we can have food tonight, but I still feel weird asking for money. So yeah, that was really challenging. And you don't have any friends there, you don't know anyone, and with the language, Dutch, just like English, is a very low context language, meaning we are very direct. We say what is on our mind. We don't beat around the bush. We just are very straightforward, and we are like, yeah, this is what we want, this is what we need, and can you help me?
Mhm.
But Japan is a high context language, meaning that you are not straightforward. You have to read between the lines. People are not going to give you a yes or no answer. And you kind of need to taste the air to see how people feel. And if you push them too much, if you pressure them too much to try to get them to um, get to the same level as you are by being very direct and open and tell what's on your mind, much to try to get them to then they veer off and they do not want to interact with you anymore. So yeah, that is super challenging. So I really had to learn how to talk to people again, because Japanese people are totally different in that regard, that they don't like to be direct and they're very flowery. And a word that they often use is chotto. So literally that means a little, but
Okay.
depending on the context and how you say it and what kind of body language you're using, it can mean so many different things. Like it can mean like it's not possible, or it's unfortunate, or this is not a good time, or yeah, it can just mean a little, like uh, would you like to have some of this? And you can say, chotto. Or even in the context of waiting for someone, you can say chotto mate. That means just wait a bit. So yeah, it's usually not a super positive connotation. So if people say chotto, then it's usually not great. But yeah, it can even mean no. So yeah, that can be very confusing at times,
Mhm.
because we are immediately like, well, if you don't want it, or if you can't have it, or if you don't have time for it, why don't you just say it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whereas in Japan they feel like if you're very direct, that's actually very disrespectful, because their point of view is children are unable to understand anything that is not related to them in a very direct sense. So if you are very direct with someone, that means that you equate them to the same level as a child, because they're unable to understand your meaning if you say it in any other way. So being very direct is super disrespectful in Japan, and it's necessary to be kind of, yeah, um very flowery, or be indirect, or don't say exactly what is on your mind. Whereas in the Netherlands or Western Europe in general, we feel like, yeah, just get to the point already. Just tell me yes or no, and then I can make a decision and we can move on. Get to the next point. Whereas in Japan, they're like, no, let's give it some thought, and let's get together again, and let's see how it goes, and let's have another discussion. And us impatient Dutch people are like, no, 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 let's just move on already. Come on. Time is money.
Oh my God.
Totally different
Um,
approach.
yeah, it's really relate with me when I moved to Italy. I'm
Mhm,
from Lithuania and I lived in London. And after London, I moved to Italy for love.
mhm.
And
Oh, nice.
as you said about the rice,
Mhm,
so in Italy they have, I don't know how, 200 variety of pasta, different type of pasta. And when we needed to cook at home and we need to prepare sauce, so I was like, yeah, I would like that type of pasta. And they're like, no, with this sauce is not good, that type of pasta. And it's, it's the same, it's just a different shape, but
yes,
it's the same taste. No, it's
exactly.
different. So I was like, oh my God. And every type of pasta has a name.
Mhm.
And so sometimes when I'm, even now, when I'm reading a menu in restaurant, I'm like, what this? Ah, this is type of pasta. Ah, okay, let me Google it. It's like crazy. And and also about language is the same. Like in Lithuania, we also very like direct people. We want to be very clear, very understand what you are saying, what do you mean. It's not like you say one thing and you mean another thing.
Yeah.
And in Italy, it's completely different.
Mm.
They're not like flowery language. They just, you need to read in the middle, but the language is, it's like if you learn a dictionary language, it
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you can speak with Italian person, because they saying something and you need to think, like it can mean also like different things.
Mhm.
And at the beginning for me was like it's not like difficult, but when I was talking like what you learn, and some people like maybe start laughing and they're like, oh, why are you laughing? No, that's fine. It's like, no, tell me, because I want to learn and I don't want to repeat the same mistakes.
Oh.
No, because this word we're using, to say something like, sexy things. And like, oh my God, in Italian language is all about woman, man, sex.
Oh my God, I can imagine. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I mean, before I was moving to Japan, I did do some basic lessons with Primsler Japanese. And basically, they would have a conversation and then they would break it down and you had to repeat all the words. And they didn't explain any of the grammar. They just kind of gave you an idea of what the conversation was about, but not a literal translation. So I knew, okay, in this situation, this is what I need to say, and it means approximately that. So I understood that if someone asks you, "O genki desu ka?" that means, "How are you?" And the correct answer is "Genki desu, okage-sama de." So that's what I said the first time someone said that to me, like, "Oh, genki desu ka?" And then the person started laughing hysterically, and I was like, "Did I say something wrong? Did I mispronounce? What's going on?" And they said, "No, it's just super formal and very prim and proper, and something very, very Japanese, not something that's used in daily conversation. So it's so strange to see you with blonde hair and light eyes to say something so quintessentially Japanese that so every time I pass by this lady, she would call her coworkers and like, come on, you really need to hear this. This is so funny. I couldn't stop laughing the first time I heard it." And she would be like, do it again, say it. I'm like, okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, and it's a changing country, and especially when it's very different from your own culture. It's we're meeting a lot of difficulties like language, culture, and daily, like very basic communication. What was like for you the main difficult to build your business in Japan? Is it language? Is it culture? Or is something different?
Well, all of them really. So it's the language, obviously, and Japanese people, they need all the details. So Dutch people, when we give a presentation, we just have some bullet points and we want to convey kind of like a global idea. And then when the client says yes, or the partner or whomever you were talking to, then you start the next meeting, you go into the details, but not right from the beginning. But Japanese people are so detailed oriented. They want the whole slide to be covered. There shouldn't be any white area anywhere whatsoever. And they want the numbers. So they want everything on the slide. And you have to give all the information up front. If you're unable to do that, then I would advise you not to go into a meeting, because Japanese people will actually feel insulted if you don't give out all the details straight away. So that was something I really had to learn. And Japanese people hate to say no, so they'll just ignore you and not contact you again. So I would send out an email and ask for a proposal, and some companies, they just didn't want to work with a foreigner. And then when it became apparent that I wasn't actually Japanese, then they would suddenly no longer reply to my emails, and I'd be like, but I asked for a proposal, so when can I expect something? And then they just wouldn't contacting me anymore, and not even pick up the phone. I would call them and they'd be like, oh yeah, I'll put you on hold, and then click, throw down the phone. So that was a steep learning curve, like what's going on here? So it took me a while to figure that out. So yeah, and right from the start you have to be very flowery, like, oh, the new season is coming and the leaves are slowly falling and the crisp weather is coming. And so first, what do you want? First whole page of kind of chit chat before you can get to the heart of the matter. So that's also very important. So there's so many cultural differences, and especially in corporate life, it's, if you're not Japanese, if you're not a man, if you're not 50 plus, then you are so behind on everything, and you already have so many points against you that it's really hard to kind of get your foot in between the doors, so to say. So yeah, there's quite a lot of business people in Japan that have very antiquated ideas about foreigners and about women in general. So operating a business as a woman is definitely challenging. A lot of people that were supposed to help me at City Hall or at the Chamber of Commerce or those kind of places also try to dissuade me to start my own business. Like, oh, you're married, you have a husband, I'm sure you don't really need to work. Why don't you just focus on your husband and taking care of the house, and why would you even bother starting your own company? So I did have a lot of bias trying to start a business, or people would be like, oh yeah, difficult to set up an appointment, like, oh, we don't have time, because they thought, oh, you're probably not that serious about starting a business, so we don't want to put in too much effort and rather spend time with someone who is a better candidate in our eyes. So yeah, I definitely had some setbacks. So you need to not get dissuaded by that, and keep to your own vision and just keep going. Even if you hear no, you need to call them again the next day, like, oh yeah, is there a spot open right now? Can I make the appointment? Can I come around? And of course, try to speak Japanese as much as possible. The problem with Japanese language is that the business language has polite language and humble language. So if you speak about yourself, you use humble language. And if you speak about someone else, then you use polite language. And for both humble and polite language, you use a different vocabulary than normal conversation. So you use different verbs, different adjectives, different pronouns. And then there's the distinction between humble and polite. So it's like two different languages that you have to learn on top of the regular Japanese. So yeah, it's so complicated to learn all these different phrases, and like, oh, if you speak about my company and your company, then the word company is different in both cases. So yeah, it's definitely challenging, and ideally you would need someone who's fluent in Japanese who can check your emails to see if there's no mistakes in there. Like Google Translate works very well for like European languages, but for Japanese languages, it's not so great. So you cannot just rely on Google Translate to help you translate emails that are worthy of receiving a response. So yeah, but slowly you learn. And another thing is there's so many unwritten rules in Japan, like even something like business cards. Ideally you have to present your business card as soon as you meet someone, and you have to hold your own business card with two hands and put it lower than the other person, because then that's deferential, so you're showing respect to the other person. And as soon as they hand it over, you have to use a few seconds to really take in what's on the card. And then when you go into a meeting with multiple people, you need to put the business cards in front of you from the most important person. Has to be straight in front of you, and then move to the right until you reach the least important person. So you shouldn't stack them together. They all have to be visible on the table. So even something as small as that, if you don't know about that, that can be a make or break moment. So if you make a small error, like you don't sit at the right spot at the table, or you go into the meeting room too quickly and you're not in the right order, or you go up the elevator and you're in the wrong spot, little things like that can mean this is not going to happen. So sometimes after meetings I was like, oh, they seemed interested, what went wrong? And I would go over the whole thing with my ex-husband, like, oh, tell me from the start, what did you do? You came into the building and then what happened? And then there would be such a tiny little thing that I wasn't even aware of, and like, oh yeah, that's why. I'm like, oh, why didn't I know about that? But yeah.
Oh my God. So it's I I heard a lot about Japanese culture,
Mm-hmm.
and I imagine that it's complicated, that is different, and that there are a lot of different things, but so many things that you need to know before to start even business or interview or something like that. Is
Yeah.
It's not only just a lot of things are about building the business, but it's a lot of things about knowing how to build that business in in their country. So wow, compliments, my
Yeah.
compliments.
Thank you. Yeah, and how to interact with Japanese people, how you can be successful, like what can you say, what can you not say, and even body language, like crossing your legs is like a really strong faux pas. So during a business meeting or any kind of meeting where you don't know the other person that well, if you cross your legs when you're sitting, that is considered quite disrespectful. So you should try not to do it. Even in the subway, if you look around you, there is hardly anyone sitting with crossed legs because it's considered rude. So small things like that can really determine the outcome of whatever you're trying to achieve if you're with other Japanese people. So you should
Wow.
definitely be aware of those kind of things.
Okay. So you had a lot of difficulties, a lot of obstacles.
Yes.
What was that like the main thing that really helped you to going forward and to not give up?
Determination. So I'm very big-headed. So if I put my mind on something, there is nothing and no one that can take me off course and take me off the goal I want to achieve. So if something isn't working today, I will just say to myself, okay, so it's not working out. Let's forget about it. Let's put it to the side and let's try again tomorrow or the day after, or talk to someone like, oh, do you have any ideas? What would be a good strategy? And another thing that I find very important, because I used to work for other companies and with work in teams and with different leadership styles. And I felt a lot of leaders are quite dominant and they feel like, oh, I need to be a dictator. I need to, I'm at the head of the company or I'm at the head of the team. So I have to show everyone that I'm in control, that I'm the boss. Everything has to go my way. So as soon as I started to have people working for me, I thought, no, that's not what I want to do. So when I hire people, I always ask them a lot of questions, like what is your personal expertise? And if you were the head of the company, is there anything you would improve on, or do you have any ideas, or like even for the guided tours, is there any area that you like very much, that you enjoy going to, that we don't necessarily already do tours to that place? So I try to get as much ideas from the people around me as possible, because I feel I'm not the expert in everything. So I gather all these different people around me with different ideas, and of course I don't agree with everything, but I'm very open-minded and I'm always open to trying new things. And I always tell them, um, I've never given this much thought, so let's try your idea, and if it doesn't work, we can try my way, or we can try a different way. But I do think it's very important to keep people involved and to give them like a feeling for the company, like they matter. And it's not just about the money, it's also about what do you bring to the table, what ideas do you have, and how can we all together achieve this common goal and make it even better, and every day strive to give a better experience to our clients.
Yeah, beautiful. It's amazing leadership
Thank
because like leadership is that you're going and everyone wants to lead you because they believe in you and they feel you.
you.
And as I think that wrong understanding that I am boss of the company, doesn't matter if it's mine or not, and making others feel like less important or with low capacity or wherever. I think that we can meet still in different countries, also in Italy. I think that also maybe in Lithuania. I think that everywhere where we have a man like seen like a businessman, like wherever he can do everything and the woman not. Especially in Italy, it's so also very complicated for women to grow, to build, to be, because For me, like I'm even the age, as you mentioned also before, even the age. I think that now, especially in the Europe, like teenagers doing business.
Yeah.
So it's so amazing that they creating new ideas, new things, and there are still people who think that you need to be 50, 60 years old with your experience. Like, come on. So yeah, so good leadership I think is so important, and also like team and all those things, and especially like to work together as you have your partner, like two women support each other and growing together. I think is so amazing, so beautiful, because it's also like I'm always saying that we women, like together we can really grow, and to steam to push each other and to help each other and to understand, because no one can understand us better like each other. So beautiful, amazing. Nikki, before time is flying with you. It's
Yeah,
so
it's amazing, right?
it's so beautiful to listen to you. So beautiful story. And um, you said like you are very determined, your determination helped you, and also good mindset. So uh, mm, how you put or create your right mindset for the business, and like very early in the at the beginning of your business, do you had a coach, how you manage all those things by yourself?
No, I never really had a business coach, so I basically had to figure out everything on my own. Of course, I did have my husband, so I would often talk to him, and he was kind of like my mirror, and I was able to go back and forth, like, what do you think of this idea and that idea? And now, since 2018, I have my business partner, so we often basically we always decide everything together, and I get carried away quite easily, and I'm very enthusiastic, and I always want more and better, and she is very risk averse, so she prefers to keep things as they are and do the tried and tested method and not do anything strange or weird or different. So that's where we often have to clash and meet in the middle. So sometimes if we cannot see eye to eye, we say, let's leave the conversation for now. Let's both take some time to reflect. And then in a couple of days, we'll see if we maybe think differently. So sometimes I need to step back and say, okay, I still want to carry on with this idea, but maybe this is not the right timing. Let's revisit this in 3 months or in 6 months and see how you feel then. Or sometimes I need to pull her along and say, this is what we're going to try, and stop worrying, and it's going to be great. And let's start out small, and then you can see that it's working okay, and then slowly we can build from there. And let's not put all the irons in the fire straight away. Let's start with a tiny ember and then see if the flame can grow from there. So usually I'm able to convince her of my ideas, and sometimes she's the one that is reeling me back in, like, slowly, let's not take on too much at the same time. And so that's how we really complement each other very well, I think, because we're totally different personalities, but together we work very well. We both have our own strengths, and together we're this amazing team. So yeah, my business partner is a very important person in my life. And yeah, since last summer I started therapy, and my therapist also told me, because I told her, like, well, I sometimes find it so frustrating. I'm very good at giving advice, and if someone else comes to me, it comes like this, and I'm able to give them all these ideas, and I know what they should do, and why am I unable to do that for myself? And then she said, well, maybe you are able to do that for yourself. Why don't you write it down? So step out of yourself and pretend like you are a different person, and then write down advice to give to myself.
I love
And
it.
yeah, short term, medium term, long term, what can you improve on? How can you break it down into small steps so you don't get overwhelmed? And then every week you can look back, like, what have I achieved? And then write down your successes, because sometimes when you first start out with something new, you feel you haven't really accomplished much, or you look at other people like, oh, when they were this age, they already had this and this, and I'm just starting out and it seems I'm not making any progress. So if you continuously every week write down the things that went well and all the successes you had, and especially for the big successes, I feel you need to celebrate. So go out to dinner with some friends and have them be your cheerleaders, and have them be on the sidelines cheering you on, and showing that they have faith in you. And get rid of all of the detractors in your life that are like, oh, you never succeed, you won't be able to do it, and this is too hard, why don't you just quit, and it's unnecessary. So get rid of all those people, all the naysayers, and all of the people that are your cheerleaders. Embrace them and hold them close, because you need more of those people in your life. And you can be your own best cheerleader. So write down all these positive things and all the things that are going well. Do not let that voice in your head like, oh, I can't, it always goes wrong, and see, I told you this would happen. So get rid of that voice and write down only the positive things, and then slowly your mind will start to change, and the negative voices will become uh, less on the forefront, and you're better capable of dealing with setbacks than you were before.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's amazing advice, and I think it's very, very, very good. Also, like technique, how when we need actually to answer to ourselves a question, and as you said, we very often we comparing ourselves with others, or like asking others, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? But sometimes we really need to ask ourselves what
Yeah.
we think and what really we want. So beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so, Nikki, tell me before finishing this amazing webinar, that I think that something wrong with watch, because it's like very, very fast. The seconds going very fast.
Yes, for sure.
So how we can reach you, and what kind of like services you providing, and does it in tell us a little bit, like really like 1 2 3 what you can give, and how we can reach you and what we can get.
Well, what I do is, of course, guided tours in Japan. So if you are traveling to Japan and you need a tour guide in Tokyo or Kyoto or Osaka or anywhere else in Japan, then we have a local guide for you available. So that's the biggest part of what I do. Second, I can help you with a detailed personalized itinerary. So maybe you don't want a tour guide, but you do want personalized guidebook that takes you from your hotel to all these different sightseeing spots around Tokyo or Kyoto or wherever, and gives you detailed instructions on where to get there, how much it's going to cost, what to do next, where to stop for lunch or for dinner, and gives you really lots of background information and tips that are specifically catered to you. Because if you buy a Lonely Planet or something, there's so much information in there, but a lot of it is not necessarily very convenient for you personally. So it can sometimes be a bit overwhelming. So what I do is I design the day from breakfast. You wake up in your hotel, you have the breakfast, and then all the way to the end of the day when you go back to the hotel, and everywhere will be links. So you just need to click on the link, and then you have the travel information, how to get there, how much it's going to cost, and all of that. So that's another thing I do. And then for business clients, I do market explorations. So for instance, the Dutch Chamber of Commerce, every 2 months or something, they come with a group to Japan, and then we show them around companies, and we help them with translations, and we help them with interpretations. So yeah, we also do a lot for business clients. We call them market exploration safaris. So we can help companies who want to explore the market for like leisure wear in Japan, or like we've had someone who wanted to import Japanese mushrooms to the Netherlands. We've had bakers, we had koi breeders. So we had so many different businesses that we helped to get in touch with the right people from our network, and also to help them on the spot and arranging things, and help them with contracts and with interpretation and that kind of thing. And yeah, lastly, I also help travel businesses with travel consultancy as well. So if they want to start offering trips to Japan, I will look through the travel plan to see if it makes sense, and I'll help them pick out the hotels and that kind of thing. So
Wow, beautiful. So I think that actually my dream to go to Japan. So when I will be planning my travel, for sure I will write you, because I hearing all those difficulties being in different country, and without language, I think so it's really better to have a tour guide or someone who really can help you with those things, to have a beautiful time, instead of going there and like this is not good, this is I don't like, and had a bad experience. So I think it's amazing what you do, and for sure I will contact you. And also I will leave in here after this webinar your website, so other women, other ladies can check it. And because Japan is really attractive country, so I think that it's not only my dream. I think that a lot of women have this dream, and they can really use your services and have an amazing experience. Okay. Yeah, I lost you, but okay. Good. Great. So thank you so much, Nicki. It was a pleasure to talk with you. It's the first time. Maybe we will do another time with different topic, if we will have like some like requests as well. Thank you so much for your time, and to hearing your story was beautiful. Also to like reconnect, and also like to have a lot of insights how to move on with the business, and never give up even with huge difficulties.
Yeah. Well, in Japan, they have an expression, they call it ikigai. And ikigai is kind of like, it encompasses many different things, like your reason for living, your passion, what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, what brings you joy, and all of these different facets come together and they create your ikigai. So I think it's very important for people to find out what is your ikigai. And I mean, what you're good at, I think that's probably even less important than where your passion lies, because like me, I didn't know anything about tourism. I knew a bit about Japan, but I was definitely not an expert. I didn't speak the language fluently, but bit by bit I grew and I learned, and slowly it became my passion. And now I would, after 10 years, I would definitely call myself an expert on Japan and any Japan related areas.
Yeah, so it's always believing and following the vision and the passion, what we have, and believing in ourselves that that our dream can become true if we really want, and if we will put the consistency and efforts every like from every seeds we can have a plant, and from the plant we can have a fruit. So it's the same also with ideas, it's the same also with vision and building the business, I would say.
Exactly. And you need to believe in yourself, and then other people will start believing in you too. But it starts with you. If you don't believe in yourself, can you get other people to believe in you?
Yeah, that's true. I love your energy, Nikki. And yeah, so what else? So I just need to thank you again and to say you goodbye, because it's already 1 hour that we're talking. I think that we could talk more hours, because it's so beautiful topic, and you're a beautiful person, beautiful woman. My really, really huge compliments for everything that you did and you're still doing, and amazing. It was amazing to having you here today.
Well, thank you for having me on. And if people want to reach out to me, my website is www.tokiotours.nl. And Tokyo is spelled the Dutch way, so not with a Y, but with the I. So TOKIO, and then tours, TOURS.nl or .com. Both websites are mine, actually. And you can find me on any social media platform under Tokyo Tours. And you can also reach out on my personal Instagram account, that is Nicki, NICKI_Amsterdam. So I look forward to hearing from you soon. If you have any burning questions about Japan or Tokyo, or traveling to Japan or doing business in Japan, let me know and I'll be glad to help out.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Nikki. Thank you, and have an amazing evening.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It was really lots of fun. I would love to come back sometime.
Sure, for sure. We will, because we have a lot of things to share again.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, Nikki. Bye. Thank you.